everybody. Can you see the board behind me? Is this good? Is this good? Is this good? Because today we're talking about road placement. Let's get to business. All right. First of all, just talking about where to put yourself on the road, keep yourself safe, minimize as many variables as possible. Generally speaking, if you're moving slower than traffic, your best place to be is going to be, on the right side of the road. Typically I like to stay on the right side of the road with multi-lane roads, big avenues like Broadway and stuff. Because if you're on the left side, there's not really an escape zone. There's a lot of, they're like the planters in the middle and things like that. And you just, if something happens, you don't have anywhere to go. You have, cars on your right side and like planters on your left, and that's just straight to curb. If you're on the right side, you do have, the little gaps between cars next to you. Of course, being next to those cars, you do have to be mindful of pedestrians and, anything that may come, through those little gaps. But if you are moving slower than traffic, I always say to stay to the right side, because if you're over here, there's nothing worse than trying to be in the middle of the road and cars are trying to fly past you. It is not a good place to be. It's really likely to have an accident because of course you can only watch. You can only pay attention to one thing really at a time and really well. So either you're looking ahead of you or you're looking behind you, but you can't do them both. It is absolutely a skill that can be practiced. That I would say, it's something that I practice a lot, of being able to memorize and track the world around me. So if I look over my shoulder, in a quick second, I can look over my shoulder, see where all the cars are, and also kind of get a good gauge of their momentum to figure out where they're going to be in the next few seconds. So if you're moving slower than traffic though, you're going to want to stay on the right side and be mindful of not just what's directly behind you, but yeah, if you're up here, just kind of what's out this way, what's on your right side, and what's ahead of you. Of course, just keeping your wits about you. But when you're moving slower than traffic, you need to know what's coming up behind you. One of the big things to worry about also is, as I have here, the door zone and the asteroid belt. Let's just say instead of just bricks, there are cars parked on these blocks. But just indicative of space that we cannot go. If you're out here on the right side of the road next to the cars, there's about a 3-foot wide area that is the door zone, so that if somebody opens their door when they're in a parked car, you're going to get hit. And that's so bad. It's so bad. Worse than hitting a door that's completely flung open is a partially open door and you catch the side of it. That can kill you. Most of this can, right? But yeah, so you want to watch out, for the door zone all next to the parked cars, right? Right along in that same area, though, is also the asteroid belt. What the asteroid belt is, and another reason why I don't like to skate on the left side of the road, or those, the guarded parts where cars, where nobody can pass through. With the asteroid belt, it's a collection of all the debris from the road. It gets kicked up and kind of washes off to the sides. So within the door zone, for about 2 or 3 feet there, it's, gravel and glass and nonsense. So, though I say stay to the right side of the road, own your space on the road, right? With that, I stay about 3 feet away from any parked cars and just hold that line, because it's better to be predictably out in traffic and people see you and know you're there than having to swerve around things at the last minute, or being on your board, losing traction, hitting pebbles, getting, bopped up, and, not having the same kind of control over your board. It's the same kind of thing with going past double parked cars. If I like to maintain that door zone whenever possible. I'll say I also always use hand signals. You know, people may not pay attention, but I would rather give a little bit of a heads up that nobody pays attention to than, you know, doing something that's completely unexpected. You know, I will usually actually do like a countdown signal. So like, you know, throw my hand out like this. You know, yeah, usually like this 'cause it's hard to. This don't work for me. But yeah, like if I see a double parked car and an obstacle in the way, I'll be like 3, 2, 1, and then like, you know, and head out, you know, so people around me know what's happening. So yeah, that's generally moving slower than traffic, what you need to know there. If you're going faster than traffic, you know, you're gonna have cars all out, you know, all out around in the street, you know, there you go, just two beautiful rows of cars right here. Yeah, those are two beautiful lanes. So if you're moving faster, the safest place to be is actually in the middle of the street, or just, you know, not on the outside of either lane. If you're on the outside of the lanes, you know, closer to any of the stopping areas or closer to the intersections, that is where it's most likely for a car, you know, to turn. You know, if you know they're going to take the turns, they're going to take the turns, they're going to come through, and if you're like caught up in this area, you know, what happens if somebody doesn't signal? What happens if somebody makes a last minute turn? You know, you don't have the options. So I really like to stay, you know, in the middle of the street. Also, by being in the middle of the street, another thing of like guiding your focus. You know, guiding your focus. If you're moving faster than traffic, you don't need to pay attention to you as much what's going on behind you because it's much less of a threat, right? So you can, like, you know, have much more of your focus, much more of your energy focused on, you know, everything that's out in front of you. You know, another point with regard to, you know, to navigating traffic, I guess I should have said this in the slower section, but, you know, either way, slower or faster, watch out for the turning lanes, right? If you're, you know, coming up the side of the road, or, actually, this should have been the slower section, but if you're coming up the side of the road and, you know, you notice there's like a turning lane in front of you, get around that as quickly as possible. The biggest accidents happen not when you're moving fast, but when there's the biggest differential in speed. So if you're going fast and the cars are, you know, damn near at a standstill, you're gonna have a very narrow gap to get through, you know, right there to make that gap happen. So you have very few options. If you get around it, you know, all the way back here, then you have all the options in the world. You know, you can spread out however you want to. Lastly, running lights. Now, it's funny. It's really funny to talk about the safe way to run lights, but there is, let's say, best practices. If I'm moving through traffic, my preferred way to do it, or, you know, if I'm going past lights, is to move through, like to generally stay in the middle of the street. Again, giving myself as big a safety margin as possible. You know, and just giving myself options, but moving like a sine wave, right? So, you know, so this is the last intersection. It's the last intersection down here. You know, cars are turning this way, so say, this is not working. There we go. All right, so cars are coming from the right side down here, and they're coming from the left side up here, right? If I'm navigating the street, you know, if I don't have the light, that means that, you know, whether or not I see them, there's a possibility that I might get hit from either side. So I'll position myself in such a way to give myself the most time to react to each of these situations. So I'll position myself on the left side, farthest away from where those cars are. As I navigate, you know, up the block, you know, stay near the middle, and then like move myself up like this so that I have more space to come around and be able to see further down that block. With regard to paying attention, with regard to visibility, with regard to how and where to look. All the time, all the time, all the time, I try to see as far and as detailed as possible. I try to look in places, where I guess I hadn't thought to before. Now this means I will look through the glass in cars so that I can see ahead of them. I will look into people's mirrors in their car to see if they're checking to turn, or if there's somebody in the driver's seat and they're about to get out. Same thing with this though. The faster you're going, the less time you have to react, because the more distance is being covered. So the speed limit in New York is 25 miles an hour, but everybody drives 30. So let's say 30 miles an hour. Those cars are traveling about 45 feet per second, right? They are flying, so they're going 45 feet per second. Let's say 15 miles an hour. You're going about 22 feet per second. You're coming at each other, from different angles. The best way to maximize that time is to take advantage of any and all available resources to you. Something I do with double parked cars, double parked trucks, I look around them. I look through the windows, or I look under them, actually. I'll take a deep push every now and again so I can look under them. With these lights though, if I'm further back, wow, it's like my markers just don't want to work. Yeah, whatever. Okay. So yeah, if I'm all the way back here, I start looking as quickly as possible to see if there are any signs of cars coming. And you're thinking, like, all the way back here, how is that helpful in any way, right? Thinking creatively, look for reflections, look for shadows, look for headlights, anything that can indicate that a car is coming. I like to use, if I can, I like to use like store windows that are up here, like, reflections from cars that are parked, because, I may not be able to get a clear image of exactly where the car is. I may not have a clear image of exactly what's coming up, but it gives me a hint, and it gives me just this extra little bit of space from wherever that reflection is coming from. So, keep going further. If I'm up here, right, and I was just looking to see, where a car was, I still wouldn't have like a lot of time to be able to figure it out. But if I'm looking for those reflections, looking at that same point, that brings my view, halfway down the block, right? So that's an extra second, an extra 2 seconds that, changes, my whole line. It changes, the whole dynamic of the situation. Because if you're waiting until, there we go. If you're waiting until you're just about to go through that red light to figure out whether or not there's a car coming, you're moving too fast to be able to stop yourself. You don't have enough time to react. So just, trying to figure out, how you can see farther, how you can, dissipate the impact, move and go with the flow, trying to stay wavy, guys. Anyway, that's just a little bit of an overview of traffic surfing safety. Hopefully any of this, just, if there's one thing or one circumstance, anything that I've taught that could help anybody in any situation, like that would mean everything to me, and please, like, I want to do much more in-depth videos about all of this, a little bit less rushed, a little bit higher quality. So let me know what you want to see, and I'd be happy to make more videos in the future. Maybe bring you guys outside skating with me and show you what's up. I'll definitely post my video for the Broadway Bomb this year. Got everything all set up. Got my GoPro on the charge right now, just to make sure everything's working right. And if you want to get in touch, give me any feedback or give me ideas for future videos or things you would like to learn about. You could message me here on YouTube, or check me out on Instagram at Push the Day, or on Facebook as Push for Miles. Anyway, I look forward to seeing you all out on the road. Say what's up. Bye. Later.